Hello everyone, coming at you with a new first impressions video. It has been a couple of weeks before I have been really in front of the camera. I've spent quite a lot of time doing editing and whatnot coming out of Longpoint. All that is actually done now, so I'm going to start turning my attention back towards some of the other types of videos I need to work on over the next month and a half or so. I have some really interesting news coming up, but it won't be in this video. There'll be one coming out soon. But this item is one that I have been looking forward to getting. Had a hard time justifying the price on it, honestly. It's pretty expensive for what it is comparatively to what you might spend on other items. But there's a part of me that has just fallen in love with this, and of course, like I've said, these are less of unboxings and more of first impressions. So I'm not going to hold it as a big secret. This is the Squid Sword Cane, the Octopus Sword Cane from Dragon Forge. They drop this down right here. Alright, I have a couple of sword canes. One is just a terrible stainless steel item with a stamped Damascus pattern. I pretty much put that into storage the day I bought it because I was very disappointed that it wasn't actually high carbon steel. Because when I bought it, they actually said it was. And stainless steel is not going to cut it for my definition of high carbon steel. And they did say Damascus, which is always, honestly, that's probably a bad thing. If something is claiming to be Damascus, it's much better if they say pattern welded and whatnot. But I have learned that knife makers especially use the term Damascus when they are talking about billets of steel or, little plates of steel coming from a forge, and they're just going to do stock removal or something on it. So I have learned that that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it does misrepresent a lot of times because you can then stamp a pattern into stainless steel. Anyway, that's off topic. I have another sword cane that I do like. It's actually behind me in that corner, sitting in my cane stand, and that is the Hanwei Bird Dog. And this is being sold by the same distributing company, Cass Iberia. But this is Dragon King Forge's own take on a sword cane. And I'm going to start doing things like putting up pictures so you can have a little bit closer detailed view on these things. But there was something about this sword cane that I just really had to have it. I think part of it is I really like the aesthetic of, call it Lovecraftian, eldritch, kind of weird, quasi early 20th century, late 19th century look and feel to things. And so anytime you kind of have that thing that can almost remind me a bit of the aesthetics that kind of get associated with something like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or up through and including something like, of course, all of basically H.P. Lovecraft's work, it really kind of gets me excited for the aesthetic. And having this awesome octopus on the end of the cane, it just kind of reminds me of those type of things. Now, this version that I have here that I purchased is the carbon fiber version. They actually have another one that's like a type of oak, I believe. I'll throw up some pictures of that here. And it's actually a nicer one. I think it's a red oak. But for this aesthetic, for me, this is one of the few times that I was actually more keen on getting the carbon fiber version, because there's something a little bit more sleek about the design, and that's really what I liked. The kind of overly done design on the hard oak wooden version just didn't quite appeal to me. Of course, this is a first impression, so I'm taking a look at everything. It's kind of a real basic rubber, not even really rubber, kind of hard plastic tip to the cane. The carbon fiber looks good enough. It's kind of got, carbon fiber has this kind of woven look to it. And I can see within the woven look where it has been basically spiraled up. It almost looks like scratches, but it doesn't. It's not scratches. I think it's actually the gaps in between strips of the carbon fibers that's been wound up. And the casting of the octopus is actually what really made me pay attention to this, because it is really well done. It's really well modeled. The way it holds on to the grip here looks nice. The grip is plastic, it looks like. Not the grip, sorry, the little kind of end piece, the cap piece of the handle, it looks to be plastic, which is a little bit disappointing. And I'm going to go ahead and disengage the blade here. So as you can see, this is actually a little bit of a shorter blade compared to maybe the Hanwei Bird Dog. Much more of short-ish sword cane blade. That's actually pretty common for most sword blades. Or for most sword canes, sword sticks, etc. It's actually very hard to find a very long one, which I believe the Bird Dog one is about yay long, a good bit longer. But that's okay. This looks pretty nice. I will note that this is not a Damascus steel version. The Damascus steel version is also the red oak, I believe it is. I'm going to probably get all that wrong, but the wooden version, the slightly more expensive and in theory nicer piece, uses a Damascus version of the steel. The build quality looks all good. I'm checking on straightness and edge alignment. Yeah, I mean, if I were to hold on to the octopus head of this cane, I could know where my edge was. It's aligned, it looks proper. There's a lot of grease on this right now, a lot of oil to kind of keep it clean. Really very basic trigger latch. This little button latch. That part right here, this little button latch, feels a little bit cheap. It doesn't have a lot of kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It kind of rattles. It doesn't feel real secure in and of itself. Put this back in, check something out real quick. So the cane is a little bit rattly. The throat piece and the shaft here doesn't really hold real well at the grip here. I'm going to actually compare that. Alright, I went and grabbed the Bird Dog cane. So it shifts a little bit, but it doesn't feel like it shifts as much. And you can still hear it rattling, because I haven't done anything to modify the rattle on that. But that feels very solid, and that's because it's a pressure as opposed to a latch. So once that's latched in, the rattle is really only the blade down the length, but the actual connection piece feels very secure. This one doesn't. It feels like there's a little bit of a twist. And see, I can actually barely twist that back and forth, where I can't do that on this. That pressure, that feels like a solid cane. That's a little bit disappointing. I think maybe some of that could be fixed with a little bit of modification. But there's just a little bit of looseness in where the blade is. I would like to have seen that be a little bit more compressed. So I'm happy with it. I like the design. I think that my biggest concerns are minor in the grand scheme of things. The biggest thing you have to have with a blade like this is, first and foremost, a good blade. And you have to have good alignment with the actual handle piece. I think I have all that in this. Sharpness, it's, kind of just blunt sharp. It's not super sharp. The tip is actually sharp enough to get into something. It could certainly use a little bit more in terms of sharpening. But I'll be honest, I did actually purchase this for the aesthetics. Like I said, this is the sword cane I would use if I was a gentleman who was having to defend myself way back when, and I felt like it was somehow necessary. This is the one I would still use. This is the one that I would use if I had to defend myself and also maintain an H.P. Lovecraft aesthetic. Again, I really bought it just because I really like the implementation of the grip itself. And I'll be honest, I have a soft spot for sword canes. Although I don't have many in my collection, that's because I'm not ever really happy with them. I do love sword canes, sword sticks. I love the idea of them, even though, there's a questionable aspect about how much they were ever actually really used. I just think it's a fascinating piece of history in terms of a problem being solved in a very unique way. Yeah, once this is out of that shaft, this all feels really, this all feels really solid. Really kind of nice. It's super light. This end piece is so heavy that you can basically have no weight in the rest of this blade. So it's interesting. I'm happy with the purchase. It's a very expensive item. It's well over $400, which compared to the Bird Dog cane is like, this is like $250, $300. But you're paying for some very specific things here, for a very unique design, carbon fiber, good blade, which is definitely going to be hard to find in most sword canes that you can actually find in terms of production out there. I'll actually probably do a video one day speaking about basically the only person out there who does sword canes custom built. I've always thought about buying one. I might still do it one day. But yeah, I love the design of this thing. I'll be honest. I don't know what it is, but I have a weak spot for it. So that's my first impression of the Octopus Sword Cane. Wow. You can tell that the weeks of editing after Long Point have really begun to get to me. Losing all my gift of gab. But yeah, a Dragon King Forge, Octopus Sword Cane. I'm happy with it. I think if you're looking for an interesting production sword cane that can act as much of a conversation piece as it is of just a very unique weapon, I think this might be it. Maybe a full review will come later. Cheers, everyone.